The I Ching is a living transmission of the divine, of consciousness. The I Ching, the Book of Change, is a map of the 64 changing cosmic frequencies of life, of consciousness. This is an ancient wisdom from thousands of years ago that was used to track and harmonize with the forces of nature in order to guide the people, an empire, a civilization. In the 1960s, humanity discovered the 64 genetic codons, our DNA. Magically, they have the same mathematical formula, the same exact geometry as the 64 I Chings. Every 6 days, the sun activates one of these 64 I Ching frequencies, which activates within us a corresponding genetic codon, which stimulates our consciousness, the theme of the life. When we enter into contemplation with a particular I Ching, especially with the I Ching the sun activates each week, then life sends us the experiences we need to unlock the shadow, which raises our vibration and awakens the divine within. The intention of this video is to serve you in the highest blessed way. This is abstract energy of sensing, so receive this message with your heart and body. This week, our beautiful sun, the sun within us, our consciousness, the life, is activating the 41st I Ching. The transformational path of this frequency moves us from the shadow of fantasy to the highest vibration of emanation, and it's through the path of anticipation, embodiment. The 41st I Ching is quite unique. The I Chings are correlated to the structures of our genetic codes. So each I Ching relates to a specific codon group, and it codes for an amino acid in the body. One of the only exceptions is the 41st I Ching, which is correlated to the initiator codon, the start codon. It is the capital letter of every genetic sentence. So in our trillions of cells, the DNA molecule is the code for who you are, and it is made up of codes within codes of base letters, chemical signatures, and they are arranged in triplets. And the coding for the process of our biology and beyond are contained in those triplets. The 41st I Ching is sprinkled throughout our genomes. Every time there's a string of codes for building a liver cell, for example, then each code begins with the 41st I Ching. Over and over again, you will find it beginning new codes, and that's what makes it unique, because it doesn't relate to an amino acid. It signals a beginning of a process. And when we apply this to a living archetype, it says a lot about us. Let's explore this a little deeper. The Chinese call this 41st hexagram decrease. And it's the symbol of an empty cauldron, an empty pot. And therefore it's associated with the cycles of decline, when life empties itself out. This 41st I Ching is filled with paradoxes. It seems to be about beginnings on one side and endings on the other. And you could see why it's the shadow of fantasy. And that is its danger. It's filled with dreams, but those dreams are not grounded and never come into fruition. Each shadow is a root cause of human suffering, and here we have a common root, our attachment to our mind's eye to the future. And the dilemma of the 41st I Ching, the shadow of fantasy, is planning. We plan things in our head in a certain way, and we dream and fantasize. For example, that a relationship will deliver such and such feeling, or a new direction in life will bring us closer to our dreams, only to see it all fall apart. So the great teaching here in the 41st I Ching is about letting go of our plans. We can plan in small ways what to eat, where to meet a friend, when to go on a vacation. These are small plans. But then there are the big plans of fantasy. We fall in love and get married. We fall victim to a fantasy of a perfect life with a perfect person. And it doesn't turn out that way. In a year, it all changes. They aren't who we thought they are. And instead, it's difficult and painful. Decline comes unexpectedly, and it often comes to test us. It comes to lessen our attachment to this world, this physical dimension. Along with this shadow can come deep disappointment, pain, sorrow, grief, resentment, depression, all the sinking feelings that take us away from our joyousness. The life is often dominated by our unconscious fantasies. The perfect partner, the money dream, the power dream, the enlightenment dream. They all haunt our inner life, and one by one, they will be crushed by life. I'm not trying to depress you. The news is good news as we go deeper into this I Ching. But we're asked to be naked, like an empty cauldron. Wherever we have a fantasy, it will be wiped out. And this is why plans are dangerous. You can plan, but you must hold lightly to a plan, because change is guaranteed. Death is part of life. It may intervene at any moment. The problem really is our mind. It loves to dream into hope. All these people dreaming of a better life, with more money, playing the lottery, fantasizing how it could be better, only if. And that if is the killer. If is the fuel of our fantasy. Wherever you have an if, there you will suffer. Over the course of life, one by one, our ifs, they're going to fall away. Whether we struggle or let them go graciously, the result will be the same. We all leave as we come, empty. But the emptiness can be filled not with any achievement, not with any form of the world. It can be filled with love, connection, with joy. That's the key here. That is what we're seeking, not a result, but a surrender into the stream, a sense of deep trust and fulfillment of being part of the whole. So consider your ifs, your fantasies about the future. Each one is destined to decline and fade into nothingness. So the best thing is to let them go before they naturally wither. Cultivate your inner life, so the plans you have are held so lightly. Consider them just markers, way showers that lead you onward on your path. And if they don't happen the way you dream, that's okay. They're impulses of your spirit. They're like little lights that you throw ahead to see the path. So contemplate your fantasies and see how you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Even if you attain your fantasy, you will not be fulfilled. Another one will spring up in its place. This I Ching is about seeing through the tricks that our mind plays with us. You will see that these fantasies are in no way a bad thing. You could use them to your advantage. It's just a matter of first seeing through the game that the mind plays. The 41st gift, the way to alchemize the shadow and raise the vibration, anticipation, embodiment. Fantasy can be used as a fuel when you correctly understand it. The programming partner of the 41st I Ching is the 31st I Ching, which is the energy of having great influence through leadership. So leadership is often rooted in fantasy, the promise of a better way, a better world. You can see how leaders can use this as a spin to get into power. To use fantasy is to be able to see through its roots, to the core of the desire. Let's take the case of sexual fantasy, since many of us can relate. Sexual fantasy dreams of a certain experience, an experience that takes us away from the mundane. When you look deeper, it's actually a yearning for a more transcendent experience. At its core, it's a wish to escape your current suffering and to stimulate an orgasmic feeling. No matter what form the fantasy takes, that is what it really is. It's an ache for love, the yearning to be filled or to be emptied, to connect, to merge. So if you know this really deeply, then your sexual fantasies can rise up inside you. It doesn't have to be fixed in your lower centers. It can fertilize higher centers inside you. That's Tantra, to move those earthly energies upward. I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with your fantasies. Not at all. It's about seeing what is under them. And you could do this with any kind of fantasy and dream you have. Look deeply into it and unlock its higher yearning. And then you can use the energy to uplift your consciousness and raise your frequency to hit your heart. The 41st gift is an alchemical energy. Fantasy can either be an escape or an alchemy. This is the gift of anticipation and embodiment where the energy wants to go. And that also means in others, to see where their fantasy and dreams are heading. When you find the root of yours, then you can see it in others, which means you can help them move beyond their suffering. The 41st I Ching is the start codon in our DNA, the beginning process of life itself. A good contemplation question for the 41st gift is, what is your story? What is at the core of your desires? What is your place within the fabric of destiny, this human evolution? Stories last the test of time. The tale is what endures time. The 41st I Ching knows how to tell a story through whatever medium it adopts. It knows where the stories come from and its importance. A story bypasses the logical brain and goes right to the core. As children, it is often the first things we learn, and as old people, it's mostly the last thing we consider. How was my story? Stories are holistic and transcendent. They smash down walls, boundaries, and dimensions. They even transcend language. So if you have the 41st I Ching in your energetic design, or you're drawn to this energy, consider the power of story in life and find a way to weave it into whatever you're creating. It will enrich you and the world of others around you, because stories are all about anticipation. We all love waiting to hear the end. There really only is one story, which is the story of human evolution, and there are those among us that can see through the story and anticipate what's coming. There have always been such people among us. They end up being our sages, our prophets, and they live their lives simply, less attached to the outcomes of the individual life than the rest of us. It's as though these people can see through the story and already know the ending. And although they may not share with us what they know, they do share their love of the moment and their joy of simply being part of the script. These are the people of the 41st gift. The 41st city, the highest vibration, emanation. The deeper you go into the 41st I Ching, the deeper you go into the mystery of existence. This is the start codon. It's the beginning, which begins with the word once upon a time. This is what the word emanation alludes to. It's a beautiful word, that which emanates from the source. And we have to follow the emanation back to the beginning. And that is what life really is, a journey, an odyssey in time back to a place beyond time. It really is the only story, the ultimate story. We are all in the story together as one, living out our tales. The I Chings are story codes of creation. They all begin and end in this 41st I Ching, as one day we all return to source. You think you're traveling to the future, but you're not. You're traveling back to the beginning, and there is a beautiful ending. The 41st city is about fulfillment of your wishes and dreams. All your dreams will come true, just like the fairy tales. The power of grace will ensure that your dreams come true when you discover what your highest dreams are. And all those you have ever loved will become merged in your own heart. And you will realize you have never died. They never died. And it's all been the most wonderful dream. And the greatest paradox, if you weren't asleep in the first place, you would have never heard it. I empower you this week to create space, get to higher awareness, notice your thoughts, feel all the sensations fully that come up in the body this week. Shine the light of awareness to any unrest, unease, the pressure to experience something new, to feel something new. Feel the sensations deeply within your body. Breathe all the way down past your belly. Love yourself and be blessed.